Get Sweaty with Letty, a wellness program about pain management. Well, sauna season has officially arrived as we're standing here on October 20th, 44 degrees, but it feels like 36 with 40 mile per hour gusts of wind. I don't know how I'm standing here, but I do have a warm sauna to go into, so that's probably giving me a little extra courage to be out here in a t-shirt. Oh my goodness, it is cold, but I'm excited to sweat it out. I'm excited to go in the plunge and feel all the feels, but I am most excited to sit on the bench and talk to my good friend Dan Herman of Falling Knife Brewing about the pain of losing someone close to you. So let's hop inside and listen to Dan's story about a great friend of ours. Welcome to today's episode of Get Sweaty with Letty. I have the honor of sitting on the bench with my good friend Dan Herman of Falling Knife Brewing. And we're wearing not your typical sauna get up here today.
Well, when you're a fat kid at camp.
Nice, yeah. But we're actually sitting here honoring pretty much the main topic of today's episode. The reason why we are sitting here. You know, we're not going to be talking about physical pain. And physical pain is a lot of what people think about when they think of pain, but there is a very large mental side of pain, and we're going to dive into that a little bit here because we lost a good friend, Tom Berg, and Tom was a legend, still is. He was a living legend. He's now a legend in his own right, up in heaven, and yeah, Tom, what a guy.
You can't say enough about him, and I've tried over the last 5 months, 6 months since we lost him. But yeah, he was my friend initially. He was my homebrewing partner for a number of years. I opened a brewery with him. He's still the best bass player I've ever seen play live ever. Yeah, and we just had an opportunity when you and I were at the state fair to start talking about some of the things around him, because that was the first time we'd ever poured beer at the state fair. Tom was a big state fair guy, and Tom's on tap at the state fair was a very big and emotional moment for both of us, and so it was an opportunity for us now to talk a little bit about grief, which is not a physical pain. I can tell you from sleeping on a pillow versus grief, it's a very different kind of pain, and something that I think that we should talk more about as people, because we've all experienced it in various levels, and I think that there's a lot of misconceptions around it in times, and maybe some things that we can all learn from each other around dealing with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I wanted to, a big reason why I wanted to have you on here is because I just really commend you for, how you handled the situation.
Thank you. Yeah.
You could just wallow in privacy and just be sad. And you have the right to do that.
Yeah.
But that's not necessarily going to make you feel better, and it's probably not going to make Tom feel the way that he feels about you from way up there.
Yeah, and that was a big one for me. It was just like, there's no right or wrong way to have handled this. Everybody kind of deals with it in their own way. And I'm not saying that the way that I did was right. And I'm glad that it resonated with you. It's just really a large part of it is like, how do I think that Tom, who was such a person that tried to build community and try to be there for people in ways, would want his life to be celebrated? Like, what's the best way for us to acknowledge who Tom was, what Tom contributed to everything, in his passing? That was a big thing. So it was if you haven't seen it, Minneapolis Legend was a beer that came together from a couple of the breweries that we had a very close friendship with, Tom in particular having a very close friendship with. We all did a release of that beer just to acknowledge that loss. We threw a huge party in the parking lot the day after our already planned spring party. Bands came from all over the country to play that show and to be a part of it, and just give everybody like a singular point to go and grieve together, to witness that it isn't something that they have to do on their own. And that's Tom would always want somebody to know that they didn't have to do something on their own. They were always able to go be with somebody, specifically him, in any of those real tough moments.
Yeah, and I was honored to be a part of the beer release. I was honored to be a part of the celebration of life. But
well, you guys were there from day one. You guys launched our brewery. That was part of it too.
To give the viewers and listeners a little background, Tom basically taught a lot of the fundamentals of brewing to our head brewer Mark, and they home brewed together back in the day. Mark was inspired to dive deep into water profiles because of Tom, and then became a certified beer judge, which then we all became certified beer judges. And then we had the crazy idea of doing a double collab to make the official announcement that Falling Knife Brewing is coming to this world. And we got to do that right in our tap room over here, and that's where we met for the first time. So I was, fortunate. It was great to know Tom, but then Tom obviously opened the doors to our friendship and friendship with so many other people because of who he was. So we've had a long relationship. What is it? Is it 7 years?
Yep. So we would have announced in 19 that we were opening officially. So I think we even... 6 or 7 years is kind of, I think, where we are right now, because we just had our 6th anniversary party, but we were in planning at that point for a while. It might, 7 years, man, that's crazy. That's wild.
And Tom was that type of guy where you could go into any sort of event, and if Tom is there, that event is instantly better. And you've got a big hug waiting for you. You've got good conversation to be had. You have just personal growth in the form of a relationship with this wonderful human.
We always would say before and after the fact, it was that you were always Tom's best friend, you just didn't know it yet. Like if you came into our tap room and he was sitting there, you were one hello away from all of a sudden going on a tour through the back of the brewery, or getting a taste of something that wasn't even out and released yet. It was just that he always wanted everybody to feel maximized in the way that they were living in that moment, so that he could also feel maximized in the way that he was living in that moment.
And obviously when the news dropped that he had passed, I remember exactly where I was. I was inside the tap room. We weren't open yet. There was not many people in there. My wife Melissa was there, and it was just devastating. And we found out that you guys were just having you shut the tap room down for the day, and you were having a little gathering. And that was really special for me, because I was in a state of shock. As we all were.
We all were, for sure. I got a phone call from Jimmy, Tom's brother, on Saturday, and was like, okay, my head goes in those moments to like, how do we get through this moment? If you can get through a second, you can get through a minute. If you can get through a minute, you can get through an hour, and those kinds of thinking. And it was, what do you guys need from us right now? And it was just simply, we don't want this to come out for a little bit. We know that there's always the chance that it will, because people talk kind of situations. But they wanted it to be kind of held until Monday so that they could have a little time to understand what was going on. But I called Andy, my business partner, our business partner. I called my mom, just because, we all have that in our brains, right? Just like got to retreat back to our parents at some point here. I called my sister and brother and just let them know what was going on. And everybody was just there for support. But then we Andy and I sat down and had a plan for what was going to go on. And we were going to make sure that our staff knew before they heard it from somewhere else. And that didn't go exactly to plan, but by and large, we were able to let our people know before they heard it from somewhere else, because I think that's important. And then, as soon as it was announcement, we're going to be closed on Monday to spend a little bit of time with our people, and then also to have a singular point for the brewing community and musicians and everything to come out and join us. And that was always one of the really interesting things of the first couple of days was, if you're on Reddit and you searched for Tom Berg, you found all these disparate subreddits and communities that he was a part of. Like there's the r/math rock, because he was a musician and he was truly one of the greatest bass players I've ever encountered in my life. And the way that he dissected music and all of that was a big part of it. And then r/Timberwolves, because we're like a big Timberwolves location. They were like, we lost a huge fan today. Obviously Minnesota beer, and then just r/Minneapolis. All these communities, and some of them pieced together that they were the same person. They were like, oh, I didn't realize Tom Berg from Falling Knife is the same Tom Berg from Self-Evident or is Zebulon Pike or any of that. So it was really just cool to see how like far and wide that net was for him because that's who Tom was. He was that person that always wanted to build a community with who was around him.
Yeah, and I think one of just the really important things that we're talking about here is the really leaning into the community side of death.
Yeah.
And allowing people to grieve by giving them a space to share moments with others and reminisce all at once, because it's not, death shouldn't be ranking the people that you were close with.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and that was one thing that we ran into kind of on that Monday get together. And in general, I'm a person that thinks that gatekeeping is pretty bullshit. I'm not really into like, I should get to know this thing because I heard about this band first, or I'm sorry, you like cheeseburgers, like go to hell kind of stuff. Like let people enjoy what they like. And there was some of that on that Monday where a couple people tried to kind of like own the grief, and I just don't think that anybody gets to do that. And that's maybe an unpopular opinion. Like I believe that Tom's mom can feel this in the biggest way of any of us, and I believe that Jimmy can feel this in a way that I won't. But I don't think anybody, particularly those two, are saying to anybody that, oh, just because you only knew Tom from watching Timberwolves games at the brewery, therefore you don't get to grieve this. So that was the only time that there was a little bit of friction around it in that moment. But yeah, it's awful. I mean, it starts off as these giant waves that you just can't find your way out of, and then it just becomes a dull ache that just sits there forever. And they say time heals all wounds, but I'm not sure that they do, and I'm not sure that I want them to. If you have a sick scar from doing a half pipe jump on a snowboard, yeah, you got hurt, but like you'd do it again, right? You'd want to remember, that was cool, I did that one time and I landed it later. I never want to forget my friendship and business partnership and musical love and all of that kind of stuff with Tom. I hope that impacts me, because he was a person that did impact me in a great many ways. Yeah. So grief doesn't have to be only a negative. I think that it can be a nice reminder of the life that you should live, and the ways that we should push ourselves to do things, but also just a reminder of the people that aren't here anymore for it.
Yeah.
Which is tough, but at the same time, that's kind of how life is,
For sure.
I wouldn't want to live forever. That sounds horrible.
Have you, for me, I haven't lost a ton of people in my life. I lost my grandma when I was like, gosh, I don't even know when that was. I think it was 2009.
Yeah.
But I didn't know my two grandfathers, and my other grandma passed away when I was in the 6th grade, and I didn't know her really well because she lived in Colorado and had Alzheimer's for a number of years. Sure. So I just didn't have that relationship, unfortunately. But then, I lost a couple cats. That was rough, and then I lost my dad. And
I'm sorry, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was definitely tough. It came out of nowhere, and I really, for me, we had an epic celebration of life at the brewery for him, where there was a ton of people here, and it's exactly what he would have wanted, to get people together, to get people engaged.
Yeah.
But for me, I also turned that into a purposeful thing, because our time isn't going to last forever, nor do you want it.
Right.
So you want to make the most out of it while you have it. And I don't credit my dad passing and two of my cats passing for writing my book, but it was definitely motivation to shit or get off the pot.
Yeah. I my affiliation with Tom in the music scene, particularly, that's how this all started. That's how the friendship started. I've started a band since April. I was just like, I haven't played guitar in 20 years, and I'm absolutely not as talented, and nor will I ever be as talented as Tom was, or Andy, or a number of people. But I'm like, I always really enjoyed practicing, and I enjoyed playing, and I enjoyed doing all that. And I don't care if I'm not as, I'm 41 now. I'm like, this is not me being 22 and insecure. This is just a fun way for me to spend my Tuesday. And if anything comes of it, which I do not expect, I'm looking forward to that. And that I will directly attribute to Tom's passing. Is like, all right, like you said, shitter it off the pot.
Yep.
Like, are you going to be a guy that just owns a guitar in the basement and never plays it? Or are you going to occasionally go do this and go find a practice space and start jamming with some of your friends on some stuff? So that's where we are with that. And it's like, yeah, it's unfortunate that sometimes it takes that to like motivate you to do something, but you can also then go back at it later and be like, well, I'm glad I did that because, and I'm glad that this person had that impact on me to write a book or to do something that I've been putting off for too long.
Yeah. And I would imagine when you're playing, you feel more connected to Tom.
I do, for sure. Yeah. Actually, you know, it's one of those things that it's a dull ache part that I'm talking about where he would send me audio clips of new songs that like Self-Evident was working on. And I'm bummed that I don't get to be like, hey, we just figured this song out, because he would be so stoked about it. Even though he'd be like, this is trash, this is trash, this is trash, maybe in his head, he would just be thrilled that we're doing it. And that's again, that kind of person he is, and that's that like dull ache that like, I don't get to send him that anymore. And you know, I try to live without a lot of regrets in life, but I do wish that I had spent more time just sharing that kind of music stuff with him.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think that's just a good message for anybody out there that maybe hasn't lost somebody.
Yeah.
Just cherish the ones that are close to you.
For sure.
And if
do the thing.
Do the thing.
Do the thing.
Do the damn thing.
It's fine. Like, and I know that there's time is pressing and all this kind of stuff, but like, if you just feel like doing it a little bit, then do it until it's not fun anymore.
Yeah.
And be like, all right, cool. Then I at least did it. I don't regret not doing it.
Yeah. Well, you know what I'm going to do right now? I'm going to throw some logs on this fire and really get this pumping in here.
Let's go.
Because we got a few more things to chat about.
For sure we do.
And I want to get real nice and sweaty for it.
Let's do it.
The fire is roaring. Our tarps are about to get all sweaty.
You're about to see Mickey Mouse show up. I got a sweat pattern. That's this and then that.
I can't wait to see.
Yeah, Tom's face will be dry. Don't worry.
Who has the best sweat pattern in this shirt? That's going to be nice. I will say it's really favorable wearing this shirt to have the microphone up there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, holding on to that thing and then it gets a little hot. But this is...
we'll see how long until that magnet... gives me a little Indiana Jones grabbing
a little brand.
Thing. Yep, exactly.
Nice. We're in here talking about Tom Berg, losing someone close to you. And, you know, Dan, we talked about the community that you created out of Tom's death. But was there anything else that you were doing for yourself, or did you notice that others were doing to get through this grief?
Yeah, you know, I think this is an opportunity to talk about, you know, sometimes grief can lead you to some unhealthy behaviors. You know, that Monday that we shut down, I kind of got to the end of that and I didn't really want to go home and like address the fact that I had just done that and that Tom was gone. And I went to a bar afterwards and just remember spilling a drink and like it was just like this sloppy disaster, and that's not how I like to comport myself. But, you know, I think that there's been moments in this where sometimes, you know, there's the idea of every action is to do one of two things, towards pleasure or away from pain. And sometimes you can take some bad decisions about going away from pain, and it's about making sure that you aren't going to do anything lasting for that. So Tom's band, Self-Evident, which is how I came to know him in the initial phase of our friendship, they are continuing on, and I'm very happy with that. And I was worried that it was going to be the last time I was ever able to see Conrad and Ben play those songs. And obviously, like, Tom is an impossible person to replace, and their goal isn't to do that, you know, 1-to-1. It is to continue his story forward with this. But they played a show in Minneapolis, you know, a month and a half ago at this point, and I got pretty obliterated, and it was not pleasant the next day. But, you know, I think there was also a moment of, I needed that raw emotional vulnerability that I would have a couple drinks in, and by that I mean a lot of drinks in. Then that allowed me to have some catharsis about seeing that moment. It took all of the awkwardness and uncomfortability, at least away from me in that moment. But, you know, you do have to find yourselves not going too far down that path, right? Like, you can't avoid the thing. You have to work towards it. at some point to like find that dull aching that I'm talking about here, rather than the giant waves of emotions and then how you react to those kinds of things. And community for sure. Leaning on those that are closest to you. My partner Liz has been instrumental in helping me get through this. The Tuesday after we found out about Tom, that was the day that it all hit. That's when the shock and the numbness wore off, and it was entirely too real in those moments. And I actually didn't like go into work until I could go an hour without crying. And I think that there's a perspective that I've gained in a lot of this by having a 4.5-year-old son, because he doesn't understand what this is. So having to explain it in such a simple way for him to be able to understand it has been helpful in me, processing it in my own way too. And then, he's the sun and the moon for everything for me kind of right now. So it's lean on his ignorance. He doesn't know what happened. He still, like, we'll be driving into school and he'll be like, is Tom still dead? And I have to be like, yes, it is. And is there anything you want to talk about with that? But, then sometimes it's also just like, okay. And then like goes back about it. And it's like, okay, you're right, but like, we can't change this. So there can just be moments where you acknowledge it, say thank you for thinking of that brain, and then you just kind of move through it and give it its proper due, and then advance on in your day, because that's what he would want, and that's where he would want that kind of grace for yourself to just figure out how you're feeling, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really cool that Tom was a part of so many things. You can pay homage to him when you're enjoying a beer with friends. Yeah. But then there's also music, and music is a timeline of your life.
Yep.
And you can turn it on whenever you want.
Yeah.
And you can get taken back to the places where you shared special moments with that special person.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's other bands of his, like he and I would disagree about music from time to time, and now I listen to the bands that we disagreed about, because it wasn't serious. It wasn't anything that's awful. But if I want to spend a little moment with Tom, I might listen to some Yes or some Facts or some of those bands that he liked more than I did, but I still enjoyed. And I think that music obviously has like transformative power in all moments. But having that be part of our friendship has made it that it's also a tool for me to grieve and remember in those moments.
Yeah. Music is very connected to my dad's passing. It was 2021. I think it was 2021.
Yeah.
All the years in the life.
Tough, right? Yeah. That 3-year window.
Sure it was 2021. Might have been 2022.
Yeah.
But either way, sorry, Dad. When my dad, he had to go to ICU. It was middle of July, so middle of the busiest time of the year.
Yeah.
And he was alive for about a month before he passed away on mine and Melissa's 5th year and a wedding anniversary. So that was tough. And I remember being in the hospice room with him and my whole family, and I was just like, I touched his shoulder. He was not able to speak at this time or communicate. I touched his shoulder and I was just like, Dad, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to go.
Yeah, whatever.
And he, shortly after that, and by shortly I mean probably 10 minutes.
Oh, wow.
He finally passed. And my wife and I, or Melissa and I, had tickets to go to a concert at Red Rocks, and we held on to them to the very last second because we just didn't know what was going to happen. And right before we were about to cancel the whole trip is when he passed, and my whole family's like, no, you gotta go.
For sure.
And I'm so glad that we did, because literally the next day we're in Red Rocks, one of the most just powerful places that I've ever been in my entire life, and a full moon is rising over the horizon, and we got to listen to Big Wild perform, and I could feel connected with him in that moment.
Yeah.
And we made
That's great, man. That's awesome.
It was awesome. And we made a pact to go back to Red Rocks every single year to just keep that tradition alive.
Sure.
And I get emotional when I'm there, or when I'm visiting the places that we would traditionally visit when I'm there, and it's powerful. I almost feel more connected to my dad when I go to Red Rocks than here in Minnesota, because it was like an intentional time being spent after something that, you know, was a very devastating reality. And for anyone out there that loses someone, I would highly suggest, you know, doing something special that makes you excited.
Yeah.
Because then that excitement is going to be connected to the love that you had with that person.
Yeah.
It's not doing yourself an injustice by saying, I need to be sad. You know, you don't need to do that.
No.
You can be sad and you can grieve while enjoying yourself. And more common than not, that person would have wanted you to enjoy yourself.
100%. Yeah. 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 It's just such a thing. And like, I think that what I would take from that, what I did from that, is like, do go to the thing, you know, like if you already had it in plan, then go to it. Don't let this be that disruptive. And obviously if you're like dealing with major depressive issues and can't get out of bed, then give yourself some grace around that too. But really try to go do the thing. You know, Caterwaul is a noise rock festival that is thrown in Minneapolis, and it's something that Tom and I looked forward to every year. And I was just like, I don't know if I can handle going there, but you know, again, we talk about community in that way, and I went there and people were like, oh my God, Dan, like what, you know, like, how are you? What's going on? How that? And it was just this very receptive thing. Again, from music that, like, you know, Liz can't stand listening to, you know, like just the most brutal and aggressive stuff, or noise driven stuff that you've ever thought, and you wouldn't expect that from there. But it was just it was, again, you know, wherever you can find catharsis when you're grieving is a thing worth doing, as long as it isn't causing self-harm.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I also found solace in writing in a journal, you know, putting my thoughts down, not just moving from one thing to the next. Mm-hmm. And that was very comforting for me to get the things out that I needed to. I wasn't seeing a therapist at the time. I utilize one now because I feel like it's great to chat with somebody. Yep. And get a different perspective from an unbiased person.
Yeah, I do highly recommend therapy for people. Even just, I mean, life is just weird and complex, and sometimes it's nice to have somebody to bounce something off of, and that isn't your friends. Your friends are not trained professionals in this. Like, you know, you've got friends that would lay down in traffic for you, but they don't know how to tell you that you're feeling sad in a way that needs help. You know, mm-hmm. Like you need to spend some time with somebody about this. Other activities, fill that time that you have, but also take some time to reflect. You know, I spend a lot more time before bedtime just kind of sitting by myself and having that moment versus the constant go that I would otherwise have. You know, spend some time, read a book. I'm not great about journaling, but I pretty much have a running dialogue my entire day of like what my journal is, like how am I feeling about this, how am I not feeling about this, what do I need to be doing, kind of stuff. And it's whatever, you know, kind of is helping you process. Is what you should be doing in those moments. Yeah. And give yourself a lot of grace. A lot of grace and a lot of space to get where you need to be, because maybe what helps you in the first 2 weeks isn't what helps you in the 6 months on kind of situation, or 2 years from now. Mm-hmm. I don't sit there during my day now at the brewery thinking that Tom's going to walk in at some point anymore. That kind of ship has sailed. But that was intense for the first 2 weeks of it. It's just like, oh, this is just the worst April Fool's joke that I've ever been a part of. But, you know, now it's much more like, okay, you know, what beers do we want to make? What beers can we decide to make with Robbie and Al and the team for to continue on the vision that Tom kind of had around beer? Because that's the other, you know, entangled part of all of this. You know, I lost truly one of my good friends and somebody I considered to be a brother, but I also lost a business partner, and that's a whole other part of it that we're still trying to figure out exactly how this is all going to run. And fortunately, we have really talented people that are driven and loved Tom in the way that we do too, that we're able to kind of push forward, continuing this on. But, you know, it would have been great to take 6 months off, but that wasn't an option. No. It wasn't an option to shut down for 6 months.
Have you lost somebody of this magnitude in your life before?
Yeah, I mean, so I don't have any living grandparents, and I was close with pretty much all of them. I lost my grandpa way too young. I mean, I was like 1.5 when he passed, so I didn't really know him very well. But when I was in my 20s, my friend Paul Ferris was going to school out at Tufts, and he and his girlfriend went out in the evening for normal college activities kind of thing, and then they were taking a cab home, and a high-speed police pursuit ended up in the side of their taxi cab, so he was killed instantly. She survived, but has been plagued with traumatic brain injury, that kind of stuff going forward from that. But that was in our 20s, so I lost a friend very young, and I think that helped in this moment. Not that you would ever want that kind of help, but it helped to have kind of gone through this before to understand that it does get better over time. But I still talk to his mom, a couple times a year, and send her pictures of Jeremy and things like that to try to remain engaged with her and keep her as a part of my life, because I'm sure that Paul and I still would have a friendship now. But yeah, it's awful. It's awful to lose somebody, and there's no such thing as like, the right age.
No, there's definitely not. When my grandma passed away, that was the first real significant one to me. I was in the midst of a depression from losing my identity as a hockey player.
Sure.
I had never lost anybody to that point, and losing her was really difficult. I actually ended up getting in the midst of my depression, I needed to give myself a trick to help get out of it. So I have this symbol for perception that I tattooed on my arm. And then shortly after that, my grandmother passed away, and I put her initial there. And I just wanted to have that sense of closeness to her. And when my dad died, I didn't decide to get a tattoo. Everything is different, but there's no right way to do something. And if you're feeling good about what you're doing to pay honor to that person, that's probably a good start.
Yeah, actually, so the Paul thing ties into Tom. We'll see this during the cold plunge, I assume, but I have 3 tattoos, and one is the Falling Knife thumb dismemberment on my actual thumb. I don't recommend hand tattoos. They hurt a lot, and they fade real quick, but
I suppose it's always out in the sun, right?
Yeah, I have a necklace that Paul used to wear on my shoulder, and Tom was actually there when I got that tattoo, because his partner Bambi helped opened Jackalope Tattoo down in South Minneapolis. So she gave me my first ever tattoo, and it was about Paul. And then when Tom passed, I reached out to JC from the Pack Tats guys, otherwise known as the Nas Reed tattoo guys, and they actually did Tom Berg in the form of the Nas Reed tattoo, which is funny because I was at Grumpy's.
I love that tattoo.
Yeah. I was at Grumpy's selling in beer at one point, and this another beer rep was like, "Oh, is your name Tom Berg?" And I was just like, the death thing aside, the fact that this guy thinks that I got my own name tattooed on the back of my arm, like, "Oh, what's my name?"
Let me see if I can wrangle this around here.
It would be on the wrist, but that's one of those also, like, post-death jokes. I'm sure Tom sent that rep to go do that to me and be like, "Haha, isn't this funny and weird?" But yeah, it's I don't know. I don't want to get any more tattoos from friends passing, and it's really made getting irreverent tattoos very much out of the scope for me right now. Like how do you follow up to? And actually 3 like incredibly powerful tattoos with just like, I don't know, a clown on a hot dog or something like that. Like it's just not gonna work like that. So I don't need this tattoo to remember Tom. I don't need the tattoo to remember Paul. They're both on the back of my body. I just know that they're there. And I also, I'm not a deeply religious person. I don't really know what it is out there at that point. But I just, I explained to Jeremy, my son, when he asked kind of, like what happened, I was just like, well, Tom lives on in my heart and in my brain. I talked about it in the example of, your friend Will. Will's not dead, but I was like, Will isn't here right now. What happens when you think about Will? He's like, well, my heart feels good. I was like, that's how I feel about Tom. It has a little bit of sad to it, but it's how I feel about Tom, is when I get to think about him, my heart feels good that I got to have him in my life for a while.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Very well said. And now, how do you think Tom would feel about you jumping in this cold body of water?
I think Tom would want to take 10 videos of it and make fun of me for it, and then say, "There's no way I would ever do this."
Well, we're gonna test.
It's time. Yep.
See if Tom is watching us. Looking
He
for any
100%
signs.
is.
I feel like I won on the.
You did.
You're dealing with a professional sweater.
Professional
over
sweater,
here.
yeah,
Don't
yeah.
call me Get Sweaty with Letty for nothing.
No, you nailed it. I think, but maybe the back is where I'm the strongest on it. You know,
Yeah, you got a nice solid back
head,
sweat. I like the sleeve look though.
Yeah.
It's a good sleeve sweat.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I got. I've been trying to use whatever it takes for me to decide to work out and be healthy again. So I have started working out again. I would also probably attribute that a little bit to Tom's passing, because it happens real quick. And there are ultra marathoners that keel over and die as well. And Tom had actually done a lot to reclaim his health towards the end there. And sometimes the ticker stops ticking.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great message for everybody. I mean,
enjoy it all and do what you can to give yourself the best chances at it. But you know, nothing has to have happened in order for it to happen.
Right, and you can start living for the people that you love right now. You
100%.
don't need to
100%.
let somebody pass away to give you that jump start.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
the jump start that we're about to get right now is in the form
Of
of
a cannonball, right?
cold ass water. But then we get to return to this glorious space from Excelsior Saunas.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. Thank you, Excelsior Saunas,
Alright.
for giving us a warm place to come back to.
yeah, you ready for this?
Oh yeah, sure.
All right,
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Oh yeah. I don't know if the shirt makes it extra cold because it's wet and the wind is gnarly, but it's a little bit of a different vibe. This one is for Tom right here.
Yeah.
All right, we're going tarps off. Let's do it.
Nope, gotta do it.
Oh yeah. I don't want to ruin the shirt either.
Nope.
Hang this up. All right, so let's pop down this little ladder here. Don't kick too much because it'll stir up some muck.
Yeah, right.
But oh yeah, that's a cold plunge right there. Oh yeah.
What have I done? I wish this was the dumbest thing I've ever done in my life.
Air feels about 36 degrees. The water temp has now definitely gone down into the low 50s, if not the high 40s. Yes. Feel that.
Summer officially over, boys?
Summer is officially over. Don't be a hero in here. Anytime you need to get out.
Yeah. I think it's that time.
Moving our hands in this is making it colder because we're moving all this water around us. So if you could stay completely still, that would kind of warm it up. So I'm gonna rest on the muck a little bit here. Hands out.
Jesus. I think my testicles just shot through my skull.
It'll happen. But man, it feels great to be back up in this cold plunge. I was in a couple baths with ice earlier this summer, but there is nothing like feeling actual natural water just surrounding your body.
Apollonia, right?
Yes.
Bathe yourself in the waters of
Purify
Michigan.
myself in the waters of Lake Minnetonka. Right is about the time that the Prince Broadway show is now hit
Purple Rain.
theaters in Minneapolis. I gotta go check that out. Oh yeah. I could stay in here for a while. Put a little weed necklace on here. Oh yeah. Some people call me Aquaman. Other people call me Tarzan. I like to be called Aquatic Tarzan.
New nickname.
Alright, take that off though. Get back in this sauna and feel that contrast at its finest. Yeah. Let's go. That was great.
Now for the Patreon or OnlyFans version of this episode of Sweaty with Letty.
You gotta earn it, right? You
Yeah,
gotta go
exactly.
all very end.
Yeah, you got to listen to all of this before you get the shirts off version.
We'll send you the link later
Exactly.
on.
It's in the show notes.
So, how did you feel about your contrast therapy, the little cold plunge there?
So I was going to tell you, you were just witness, all of you, to the first ever cold plunge I've ever actually done. I've done the recommended, sometimes you got to take a cold shower kind of thing, but that was my first ever very cold thing, and I can understand that it certainly jolts you awake and it makes you feel certain things. Apparently, it's quite good for your nerves to go through that parasympathetic response.
Yep.
But yeah, that was quite the contrast. That was a thing. But I'm glad I did that. That was nice.
I feel honored to have popped your cold plunge cherry there.
Appreciate that. Yeah, I'm also very thrilled to be back in this warm room after that too. That's a nice part to go back to.
It's a real nice payoff.
Yeah.
I mean, there's one thing when you're trying to convince somebody to do something that's out of their comfort zone, but then when you get to this birthday gift that is the warm sauna.
Yeah,
afterwards,
exactly. Yeah, no, I don't know.
Pretty good.
Try new stuff sometimes. Do something. Trust a friend to not lead you astray.
Yeah, and I mean, to tie it in with our topic today, this is very good for mental health. Going in the sauna, going in the cold plunge, shocking your system a little bit, having a conversation.
Yep.
These are all things that will help you in a state of grief.
Yeah, I heard a thing the other day, and I haven't been able to get it out of my brain, but I was reading this thing, and I'm a big community person too. I'm like you. I'm very social in that way, but someone said we all want a village, but very few of us want to be villagers. And it's that we only want to do what's like convenient and good and close for us. We don't want to be there when somebody else's barn is on fire, and we don't want to be, or theoretically we want to be there, but actually showing up and being there for somebody. One of the things that I've learned over the times that I've had those terrible things happen is it's okay still to check in on somebody more than 2 weeks after, and I've got a great support network for that. I'm not saying that anybody's to hit me up in the DMs or anything like to make sure I'm okay. I've got people, I've got that, but just think about somebody that maybe has gone through something, not in the recent bit, and reach out to them and try to be their villager that reaches out to them and goes, hey, it's not convenient for me right now to get away from work or my kids or whatever it is, but you know what, you're important enough to me that I want to go get dinner with you.
Yeah.
And let's go get dinner, even though it's not a perfect time to do that. So think about how you can be a villager, because everybody wants a village. I just haven't been able to get that out of my head.
No, that's very well said.
It wasn't me.
You shared that.
Yeah. It was somebody on Instagram. Unfortunately, that place sometimes has nuggets of wisdom. It's not all just terrible shit on the internet. Yeah, get off of social media. Move your phone into another room and read a book before you go to bed. I swear to God, you'll feel a whole lot better in the morning.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like a cold plunge for your brain.
Well, and sleep is so good for healing.
Yeah.
And grief, it needs healing.
Yeah.
So you need to do the right things for proper sleep so that you're just waking up as a recharged human being.
Yeah. Not riding the wave so hard. You can address it more with a clearer brain.
Yep, exactly. Well, is there anything else that you'd like to say to our guests here about, the grief of losing somebody, but the power of creating community outside of that?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, just if it's happened to you before, if you've lost a close friend or a business partner, or even just somebody that you just kind of knew, I'm sorry that you went through that. I hope that you have found yourself some peace and space and grace around it, and have those moments of thinking of them and bringing joy back into your life as though they are still here. Support those around you. It doesn't have to be something catastrophic like this in order for something to be impacted. So it is important to be there for people. It is important to have people there for you as well. We're just a bunch of primates that decided that community is an important thing, and it really is kind of the best way through this life in my experience.
Yep.
So.
I love it.
Yeah, man. And I love you.
I love you too.
You're one of the best.
Oh, man. Right back at you.
Yeah, cheers.
It's truly an honor to make good on our conversation that we had at Ballpark Cafe and State Fair, sharing a couple Tom's lagers, and
speaking of that, one too many of those there. That was a lot of emotions, and then some escape from it.
Yeah, I'll admit I also had a handful of beers that day. That was it was a special day for all of us, I think. But I'm so glad that I've got you. You're such a great person, and anybody out in Minneapolis, make sure you're going to Falling Knife and feeling the energy that these guys have put into one of my favorite breweries around.
The Timberwolves sent us a jersey.
Hell yeah!
There's
check that out.
There's a Wolves jersey hanging in the tap room, so that it would be the angle that Tom would have watched the game, because he always sat at bar 4 But we got a jersey sitting out there, and it's just a nice way to remember him and his fandom of that, and also just, speaking of going above and beyond for something, the Timberwolves sent us that within days.
Yeah.
And it was
Shout out to the
powerful.
T-Wolves
Yeah,
for that.
always.
Very cool. Well, make sure you're getting out to Falling Knife. Go say hi to Dan. Go say hi to the crew. Take your picture with the Tom jersey.
Yeah.
Put it on the internet so that other people can feel it.
Yeah.
And just stay close with your loved ones.
Yeah. You're never alone.
Yeah. Well, until next time, see you soon.